Welcome. Great to see you all, the ones I can see and the ones that I know are here regardless. I'm glad you're here. So today is our first session of our research series for the year. Our research series will go throughout 1 year and then we'll restart it next year. Ideally, it's sort of a progressive development. So this is the most basic of the sessions, and then we get a little bit more difficult. We saved a lot of the tier 2 sessions for the end, which will relate to things that are a little bit higher level, things that maybe a little bit more experienced researchers would be more comfortable with. But honestly, all of these sessions, every time I participate in one of these sessions, I learn something new. So regardless of if I've heard the exact same information or not. So today's session is going to be on research versus quality improvement or quality assurance. And today's presenters are super well suited to present this information. We have Dr. Patricia or Trish Winter. Incidentally, she does not love winter. I learned that just moments ago. So we are kindred spirits there. And she is the Human Subjects Research and Education Manager. And also Dr. Frances Farrell, who is the Senior Director of Research and Development. And you've been able to see all of the objectives in your appointment. We will also, Deb will be posting a few things in the chat. Namely, she'll post the link to the schedule if she has not already. Oh, she has, of course. The link to the research series schedule, as well as another document that Dr. Winter has asked her to post that will be a good resource for you all. Dr. Winter has said that she is fine being interrupted. She likes being interrupted. So as we go along and something pops into your mind, a question or concern, please go ahead, unmute yourself, or just type it into the chat and we will try to monitor it as well as possible. And then we can ask too. There will also be some time at the end during which you can ask questions or express concerns, comments. So without further ado, take it away.
Great. Hi, everybody. It's nice to know that you're out there in virtual land. I can see some of you, but not all of you. So if you do have a question or you want to interrupt, please don't raise your hand. I won't be able to see that. I second the just shouting out or typing in chat so that I know that you want to say something. But I really do encourage you, if you have a question, to please jump in when it's on the top of your mind. So I am in the Human Research Protections Office, affectionately known as the IRB, and I work in there doing research education and training. I'm also a researcher, and so this is a huge passion of mine, and I'm excited to talk to you all about research versus quality improvement and quality assurance. Today, at the end, we should be able to define research, define quality assurance and quality improvement, identify the differences between research and QI/QA, explain why QI/QA is important, identify types of non-human subjects research, and understand considerations for publication of QI and QA findings. All right, so this is going to be our first poll. If the first poll could get opened up, I would really encourage you to participate. And the two questions that you'll see in the first poll are, which of the following defines research? Is it an investigation designed to generate new, generalizable, and enduring knowledge about human health? Or is it an investigation integral to good clinical practice and designed to generate immediate improvements in patient care inside an organization? And then which of the following is likely not human subjects research? So I think you can just click on them, right? I've not used a poll in.
Yep, you should be able to select the answers. The poll should pop up.
Great. So give me your best thinking on this. So what defines research and what is not part of human subjects research? Is human subjects research about collecting private and identifiable data? Is it about actual identifiable private information, actual identifiable biospecimens, or program data collected from the ED to improve wait times between midnight and 5 a.m. Ooh, do I get to participate in this too?
You sure
Or
can.
well, people won't see my answers?
No, it's anonymous.
Sorry. I don't know what people can see on the other side, but I'm always excited to take a quiz.
Yeah, we have about half of folks who have responded. We can give people a
Oh.
couple more seconds if we want to wait.
Let's see where that red line came from. I don't know where that red line came from, but
It looks like we have about 20 responses. Do you want to close?
yeah, go ahead and close the poll.
Awesome.
All right. Oh, I didn't answer the second one. So I get to see my own quiz results. Can we see like a total of the results? No, yes.
Right, it should be showing to us right now.
No, because it's a quiz, I think people are only seeing their own responses. But I can tell you, so for the first question, we had 86% of people answer an investigation designed to generate new, generalizable, and enduring knowledge about human, the rest of it's cut off.
Yep, human health, that is correct. Yeah.
Okay, wonderful. And then for the second question, 89% of people got it right. They answered program data collected from the ED to improve wait times between midnight and 5 a.m.
Woohoo. All right. You guys are already on a roll. Very exciting. Okay. I'm going to move forward here. All right, so we're going to define quality assurance and quality improvement. I love a good graphic organizer. They delight me. I really love that this is the infinity sign because this is an infinite process of just improving what we do as clinicians. And so we'll start here, and that QA/QI is about addressing an immediate need designed to bring about immediate improvements in a local setting. And my Zoom is halfway working here. Let's see here. There we go. It is integral to good clinical practice. It corrects a workflow process and improves inefficiencies. It reduces variations in care. It addresses clinical, administrative, or educational problems. And then it improves a specific institutional practice in comparison with an established standard or goal. And then kind of start back over again through the QA/QI process. So I know some about QA/QI. I'm actually a master's in healthcare administration student at Radford Carilion, and I took a whole class on this, which means I still had to really look up what the difference between quality assurance and quality improvement are. So quality assurance is measuring compliance against certain necessary standards or guidelines. So if the Joint Commission showed up tomorrow and said, are you doing what you're supposed to be doing? This would be about quality assurance. And it tends to focus on correcting problems in patient care quality, especially the problems of individual practitioners. Quality improvement is really focusing on what's happening, improving quality, changing a system, working with individual practitioner behavior, and implementing statistical profiles or outcomes as a baseline against which improvement can be measured. So there is a differentiation between the two. QI is actually more often used than QA, especially in the literature. There was a little bit of a definition wording change in the last few years. So the Institute of Medicine has 6 aims of quality health care that we provide safe, effective, patient-centered, timely, equitable, and efficient health care. And these are all the key components to quality improvement and quality assurance. So we want to avoid injuries. We want to provide effective services based on our best evidence and scientific knowledge. We always want to focus on the patient. We want our times to be, reduced if possible, making sure there are no harmful delays. Of course, we want to provide care that does not vary in quality, but that also reaches some of our harder to reach populations and avoid waste, including waste of equipment, supplies, ideas, and energy. So there is a life cycle to QA/QI. Plan, do, study, act. I put the hummingbird there just in case you were starting to fall asleep and you needed something in your visual field to wake you up. So just enjoy the little hummingbird. But when we think about a QA/QI project, we're thinking about these components. What's the plan? What do we need to do? How are we going to evaluate this or study it? And then how do we put this immediately into application in our setting? There are similarities, though, between human subject research and QA and QI. And this is where we're going to see places where it could be a little confusing to investigators about what am I doing, QA, QI, or human subject research. So the overlaps are that, of course, both include the use of human participants or an invitation of human participants. Both employ inquiry to answer a question. Both look at data to understand an issue and address a problem. Both use outcome measures in support of a proposal. Both test possible solutions, and both evaluate the data toward addressing the question. So the overlaps between human subjects research and QA/QI are that a QA project could be non-exempt human subjects research. It might be that you want to approve a process, but what you are doing is looking at an outcome that is human subjects research. So an example is a research team is introducing an untested clinical intervention in an attempt to improve quality of care, but also to collect information about patient outcomes that are going to contribute to generalizable scientific evidence. This will help determine how well the intervention achieves its intended results. So there's an intervention that's going to change or alter some aspect of care. There is the collection of data to evaluate the intervention, and there is the intention to generate generalizable scientific knowledge. And those are really key components to that piece of crossover between QA/QI and research. This is I don't know, it's a very interesting graphic, helpful or not helpful. There's a lot of moving parts, but it's important to know that there is research in the green, and there is, I actually can use a little pointer here, I think. I'm trying to do all the fancy things here and we'll see how it goes. Okay, so research, but you can do some research on quality improvement. And then there is the overlap, the total overlap. Then there's quality improvement that is not research. And then there's clinical and managerial innovation and adaptation. It's not necessarily quality improvement. It's definitely not research. If you like a graphic. All right. So here's kind of a life cycle. And I got a really nice piece of feedback from Dr. Farrell on this. I had it in a different kind of format, but I think it's important to note that there is no hierarchy to these steps, that they are constantly evolving and that they are interrelated. So you might have a quality improvement idea where you want to make changes to improve the efficacy of cardiac care. And you do something that impacts direct patient care. So a patient's going to receive cardiac catheterization less than 90 minutes after arriving at the emergency department with symptoms of acute myocardial infarction. You might do a research study and you might develop a randomized control trial of cardiac catheterization versus a new medication for AMI. And you might want to look at what happens across multiple institutions when you implement a checklist to improve the system of cardiac catheterization. So QA/QI, direct patient care, full-on human subjects research, and here's the overlap between research and QA/QI, where you're actually researching that process. So when it is not research, when QA/QI is not research, is when the purpose is to assure known quality. And the key is here, not to develop generalizable knowledge. Often QA/QI will just stay in-house and it doesn't necessarily leave the institution, although it can. The project presents no additional risks to participants when it is used to evaluate the optimal functioning of an organization, when it's for internal auditing processes only, when it's designed to bring about immediate improvements in health delivery in a defined setting, such as a single department or division. And here are some examples. We want to evaluate billing practices. We want to accumulate statistical data for monitoring and clinical performance assessment. And we want to assess community-based outreach programs for the delivery of healthcare. So here's our second poll. This one's a little bit more involved, but we're going to determine which of these pieces and parts might be research and which might be quality improvement. So there you go. You're just deciding which is which.
I'm not seeing any responses. Does everyone see the poll?
And I'm happy to, if it would be helpful for me to read them, I will. Is this human subjects research or quality improvement? The purpose is a systematic investigation designed to develop or contribute to generalizable knowledge. Number 2, human subjects or research or quality improvement. The starting point is knowledge seeking, independent of routine care, and intended to answer a question or test a hypothesis. Number 3, design, plan, do, study, act, leading to the abandonment of a process or implementation of a process. Number 4, benefits. It directly benefits a process, system, or program. It may or may not directly benefit patients. Number 5, risks may put subjects at risk. And number 6, participant obligation. The participant is responsible to participate as an obligation of their care. It might be that there were a lot of questions, so it took a while to submit.
Yeah, I had to break it up into 2 parts. So the next 5 are on the next poll. It would only let you have up to 10. So I broke it.
Interesting.
6 and 5.
Thank you for that. Yeah, that's
You're
kind of a lot of questions. Will the next poll show up automatically, or you just have to wait until?
We will end this one. People will see their responses, and then we'll open the next one.
Love it. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. It looks like we have a fair number of responses. It looks like about 28 folks have responded to the poll. So we could probably close this one, Deb.
Great.
All right, we've closed and we should be showing results.
Oops. So also, I think, let me just, I'll pop down there we go. The first 5 answers here. So number 2, the starting point, knowledge seeking, independent of routine care and intended to answer a question or test a hypothesis, is research.
All right, it does look like 86% chose human subjects research for number 2.
Perfect.
It looks like for number 1, 89% chose human subjects research.
So can I ask a question?
Mhm.
I'm not sure I understand how these are coming out, because I think those answers are correct. They're both, 1 and 2 are both human studies research.
Yes, that is correct. The poll, I think, had them flip-flopped. That's why I clarified that number 2 is human subjects research.
Yeah, and because the first response was that it was quality improvement, and
It's
that's not
not.
quality improvement.
It's not. So if you got that, you got that right. If you chose research, you got that right.
Yeah, it's just, okay. Sorry, Trish.
No, that's okay.
Maybe it would be good if people have questions about the correctness of the answer or why, to maybe give them a chance to look at, to maybe ask you about that.
Yeah, absolutely. Of course, if you have a question about that. But quality improvement, quality assurance is about changing a system or process, and it happens fairly immediately. Human subject research is really about posing a hypothesis, answering a question, and it may or may not have to do with what happens in routine care. And research often takes a much more extended amount of time to roll out to become anything near what someone would be doing in practice.
Hi, Trish. Can you talk a little bit about number 6 on your list? Participant
sure.
obligation. I'm having trouble understanding what this means. Participant.
Right. Yeah. So in a quality improvement situation, you would be looking at what the entity does, what is standard of care, and maybe there's an issue with the timing of standard of care or the implementation of standard of care. So I'm thinking about hand washing. Carillion employees just did a hand washing training, and we know that hand washing is critical to patient safety. So hand washing is often a quality improvement, quality assurance thing. And one of the key components of hand washing is, did the clinician walk into the room and wash their hands in front of you as a patient, right? And so the patient might actually be asked to participate in that finding, or a unit manager might be asked to participate. So that is, in the moment of providing care, we're asking or requiring patients to have some sort of participation that isn't necessarily asking them to consent to participate. This is what we do as a standard. This is how the hospital works. We really just want to improve a process of the standard. Does that help?
Yeah, a little. I guess where I got hung up was the word participant. I think you're thinking more of the clinicians as I'm having trouble anticipating where you would force a patient to participate in something that they didn't want to participate in.
Yeah, I don't think you would ever force them, but we get routine standard of care processes as we engage in the medical health system. Right. And it might be that I want to reduce wait times in the ED. And when people come in, I want to triage them more quickly. Participants are engaging in the ED, right? And they would love to have reduced wait times too. So as we implement a system to reduce wait times, we're not asking for consent from people if they want their wait time redued. Like what in research.
David may be appropriately hung up on the obligation of care. Maybe it should be responsible to participate as part of
a recipient of care, maybe a recipient of care.
Yeah,
it strikes me as a little bit heavy-handed to phrase it this way. But.
Obligation is, yeah.
I appreciate that feedback, and I will assuredly change the word obligation for future generations. Right. I agree. I'm a music therapist, so I'm not heavy-handed about anything.
Thank you, Trish.
No, thank you. I'm always grateful for feedback to make things better. Can we do the last half of the poll?
Absolutely, coming up.
Thank you.
Okay. All right, these questions should be showing up.
Great. Thank you.
All right, we have about 20 folks who have responded. I don't know if you want to give people a couple more seconds to put in their answers before we move on.
Sounds great.
All right, Deb, it doesn't look like the number is really rising, so I think you could probably close and share.
All right, and double check. It's good. All right, and I'll pop them up here as well. There we go. Oh, there we go. All right, so how did the poll results come out?
All right, for number 1, quality improvement was 100%. And that's the correct answer showing. Number 2, 93% was human subjects research, and it shows that's the correct answer. Number 3, 100% was quality improvement, and that is the correct answer. Number 4, 93% shows human subjects research, and that is the correct answer. Number 5, 64% chose quality improvement, and that is the correct answer.
Okay, and we will be talking about these as we go along, so we'll cover the rest of this we'll cover this a little bit more in detail. So let's talk about what else is considered not human subjects research. So we already know that program evaluation, quality assurance review, quality improvement projects that are limited to program evaluation, QA/QI improvement activities that evaluate, assure, or improve performance within a department, classroom, or hospital setting, and that there is no intent to alter or control the evaluation for research purposes. Those are all not human subjects research. But what else is there? So case reports, and actually this was new to me, that a case report or series with no more than 3 patients describing an interesting treatment, presentation, or outcome, and it's not subject to FDA approval, is considered not human subjects research. And make sure that you understand the HIPAA or state laws that might apply. So you most likely will have to get a form or some approval to use protected health information, but it's not considered human subjects research. Any journalistic or documentary activity, including an oral history, that can be reported in any medium: print, documentary, video, online magazine, blog. Research involving only de-identified or coded private information or specimens, if one of the following conditions are met. So the link or key that deciphers the code is destroyed before research begins. So you can't link the biospecimen back to a human subject in this scenario. Or the investigator and the holder of the key enter into an agreement prohibiting the release of the key to the investigator under any circumstances. So there is a key and there are people who have access to it, but the person who's looking at the data, the investigator, does not have access to that. Or there are written policies and operating procedures for a repository or data management center that have been IRB approved and prohibit the release of the key to investigators. So if there is a biorepository or a data repository, and that information is de-identified. Also not likely human subjects research. The research is not subject to the jurisdiction of the FDA and uses public or non-identifiable private information about living individuals. And the research uses health information about deceased individuals, limited to analyzing data, identifiable or not, about deceased individuals, and the activities are not subject to the jurisdiction of the FDA. So publishing requirements for QA and QI. If you are going to publish your QA/QI initiative, it's important that you identify it as that it's evidence-based practice rather than human subjects research. You do have to get a non-human subjects research identification from the Institutional Review Board, and many journals are requiring a letter from the IRB stating that it's not human subjects research. So if you decide to publish this, you might need to have some statement from the institution about the designation as non-human subjects research. You can disseminate your findings publicly, but findings are not to be generalizable. And there is a lot of value in presenting these projects to discuss potentially effective models, strategies, assessment tools, or to provide quality benchmarks. All right, so I have some case examples. These are not a poll. You can either type in the chat the answer, or you could shout out the answer. I would love to hear the humans on the other side of the video screen. I'd love to hear a chorus of voices shouting out to me if you feel so compelled. They're just going to be really simple. You're either going to say in the chat, it's Q for quality improvement, quality assurance, or R for research, or you can shout out whatever you want. But our first example, is this QA/QI or is this research? The data will be used internally to develop an implementation protocol. Investigators are going to evaluate the use of Nair swabs for de-escalating antibiotics in patients with pneumonia. The use of Nair swabs has been utilized in several other healthcare systems to limit and decrease the exposure to antibiotics since 2010. Implementing this practice and updating processes will improve patient care and bring us up to current standards. So is this QA/QI or is this research?
Q.
Q. Oh, thank you. I'm getting a lot of Qs. I see Qs in the chats. I heard a shout of Q. Let's see if you are right. Yes, it's quality improvement, quality assurance, and you get a gold ribbon and a puppy because you got that right. So I hope you won a puppy. All right, the next one. Here we go. Example 2, is this quality improvement or is this research? The current American Academy of Pain Medicine and American Society of Anesthesiologists guidelines do not indicate a standard of care for PCA pumps in the pain management guidelines. The CMC has set the default for the dose request light cord to come on only when a dose is available. CMC initially determined to keep the dose request cord light on, but this was not based on any data, as there is no standard of care for pump light settings. At this time, nursing can change the setting from the CMC default at the bedside upon patient or family request. The objective of this investigation is to determine whether having the visual cue of a light from the dose request cord when a dose is due as the default setting increases the number of doses the patient requests. So, does the visual cue change?
Q.
Was that a cue?
Q.
Q. Okay. What else do you think? What else we got? This one's yeah, I'm seeing the chat. Thank you. We got some R's. We got some Q's. It's a little tricky. This one's tricky. I'm going to warn you. All right. So this is research, and why it's tricky is because we're evaluating the dose based on the light. So the light's kind of like an intervention, right? And so we're evaluating patient responses to the cue of the light. This is a really tricky one. So we can talk about that more later if you have any questions. All right, example 3. This will be our last example here. QA/QI research. An organization has been receiving complaints from patients that they have been having trouble with customer service and trouble contacting an ambulatory care practice. This is not Carillion. This is just a general random place. Gaining entry and using the services of the practice. The organization is implementing a plan, do, study, act process to confirm the problems by gathering information, examining the data, developing a new measure, setting goals for actions for improvement, implementing actions for improvement, assessing the progress, and refining the actions and monitoring the actions for sustainability. Is this QA/QI or is this research? All right. Y'all got it. You got it. Good. It's QA/QI. Yeah. Congratulations. You won the race. Woohoo. All right. So I'm going to pop out here. All right. So we have about 30 minutes for questions or comments or thoughts, or you want to talk about a endeavor that you have on your mind, and is it QA/QI and research? But I also have a little bit more information. So we'll take a break now if there are things that people want to talk about, and then I can wrap up with a little bit more information about the process for working through the institutional review board. So what questions do you have?
And folks can feel free to unmute, or they can type their question in the chat. And either way, we will make sure that your questions are answered.
Yes. I'm happy to keep on rolling, but I encourage you to just interrupt me to talk about what's on your mind, a project you have in mind, or any questions you have about what we've been talking about. I'm from Philadelphia, and so interrupting people is our bread and butter. I just, interrupting will just make me feel right at home. So you guys clearly are very savvy. You do know the difference between QI, QA, and research, but what happens after that? All right. So if you have a not human subjects research project, you do not need formal IRB determination, but it's not a bad idea to reach out to the IRB and submit into PRISM for a not human subjects research designation. So if you go into the IRB PRISM system, there is an option to click that button, and the IRB can really help you through. And again, if you're planning on publishing your QA/QI, your journal of interest might want a letter from the IRB anyway. This will get you in queue and in that process. We really are a lovely group of people and super helpful. So feel like there's a resource available to you. When you do any project, be sure to use secure shared drive for data storage, such as RedCap or Spark. Carillion has some really nice systems for keeping your data safe. Understand the HIPAA healthcare information that you're going to be looking for, and that HIPAA applies whenever you're dealing with any of the HIPAA identifiers. Additionally, talk to your committee, talk to your department head, to make sure that you're crossing all the T's and dotting all the I's on your end. Please contact the IRB staff for help. And if it's unclear, of course, submit through the PRISM system. And if it's research, follow the process. Make sure you complete your city training modules. Woohoo! Once you complete that, that'll automatically load into the PRISM system. So, and there's a lot of them, a lot of modules. They're really fantastic, but don't wait to the last minute to get those started. Consult with Health Analytics Research Team, HART, if you need data extracted from medical records. They also have some biostatisticians available to talk through the statistical methods that you need. Complete and submit the R&D department level review form signed off by the department chair. In a future slide, I have that linked and I'll show that to you. Submit the IRB application with the primary investigator and department chair sign off. So you might be the PI if you're a Carilion employee, or if you're a student, you will have an advisor who is a PI. Any collaboration between Virginia Tech and Carilion should be discussed very early on in the process. There might be some extra considerations regarding that relationship. And please watch for contact from the IRB. We will send recommendations for changes, stipulations to the protocol, and things to help us understand what it is that you're proposing and to help you have a really successful protocol submission. Research and development. This is Dr. Farrell's area, and please, if you feel compelled to hop in here, I would appreciate it. But R&D is responsible for the operational aspects of research, such as billing compliance, contracting, budgeting, feasibility analysis, and personnel assignments. So again, prior to submitting your research proposal to the IRB, you have to obtain departmental approval via the R&D form. Now, if I open this, is it gonna, I don't know how to get my cursor back. I'm forever trapped in this land of no cursor, but I don't think I can open that up, and I apologize.
I wish I could see as somebody, you're the only one who can operate that from your PowerPoint, so I can't.
Yeah, and since I have gone to the cursor, the laser pointer, I can't figure out how to get my cursor back. Anyway, that form can be very easily obtained by contacting the R&D office. It's a red cap form. It's very accessible. And if you require EPIC data extraction, biostatistic support, data management, a red cap build, like for a survey, EPIC research builds, please contact Hart. Yeah, dude, I kind of want that to just open up there for me, but I'm not gonna get it. All right. The institutional review board is a separate entity, and the role of the IRB is to protect the rights and welfare of human research participants. The IRB reviews all the research prior to initiation to make a determination of risk. Is it accessible to participants? Is there equity in the research design? Is participant privacy considered, taken care of, and assured? And is there autonomy of decision-making of participants through the consenting process, consent forms, and actually going through the consenting process? The IRB has the authority to approve, disapprove, monitor, and require modifications in all research activities under their jurisdiction. So when the IRB sends you a message, definitely respond so that you can keep the protocol moving. So the pre-review of the submission, healthcare loves a pyramid. So here we'll start at the bottom. IRB is going to assess for review type and risk determination. Is it not human subject research? Is it exempt, expedited, full board? You will get a verification that the application is complete, or what else needs to happen for the application to be complete. You will get feedback on the application with a request for clarifications or changes. And that's pretty much a standard. Don't feel bad if the IRB sends your protocol back and asks for questions. That's just part of the process. And it's actually a really lovely and beneficial part of the process. The review process will be on hold until you respond. IRB will ensure that all questions have been answered, and then the application proceeds to sign off, or it might go to the full IRB committee for review, depending on the risk determination of your submission.
Trish, you might want to make a comment that the IRB cannot review a study that's already underway.
Oh, thank you. Yes. there are no retroactive approvals of studies. You cannot start collecting data and then email the IRB and ask for permission to use the data that you've collected. All human subjects research has to be improved prior to the collection of data. And so that assures that participants are getting the safest experience, most autonomous experience, and the most beneficial experience for them. So there's not a retroactive approval of a research study. That's critically important. All right, some common stumbling blocks for investigators. Make sure you complete all of the city training and that all of the study team members have completed the required trainings. Make sure you have a sufficient literature review. What's the gap or edge in the research? Is the research, has it already been done? Is this a replication study? Remember, the IRB isn't an expert in your field. We're not all everything to everybody. So the better job you do at explaining your research study in terms that can be understood by a variety of people with a variety of backgrounds, the better off it is for the review process. Definitely when you're doing exempt or expedited, but assuredly when you go to the full IRB board, there are people from all walks of life, community members, scientists, non-scientists, different practices. And so your explanation helps everyone to get on the same page as you. What's the intent? Are you answering a new question? Are you implementing evidence into practice? Are you approving a process? What's your hypothesis? Well, how will you know if you've sufficiently addressed the research question? What's your methodology? Articulate the difference between standard care and the research plan. That's really important too. Sometimes IRB proposals will come through and an individual will state that standard of care will be compared to an intervention. Well, we don't know what standard of care is. So please explain that so that we can understand how it compares to the intervention. Do you have a data analysis plan? Have you worked with a statistician? Do you know how the data is going to be handled? What's the best method for addressing the research question? What are the risks? How will the study team reduce the chances of the risks happening? Make sure you attend to details, respond to IRB stipulations, questions, revisions. Make sure that you have all forms and department sign-offs. Don't forget to attach the curriculum vitae or resume of your primary investigator. And check for consistency. So if you go back through and you alter something, maybe it's the name of one of the study team members that you entered in, make sure that that is updated throughout the whole application, because those points will come up multiple times. And if there's an inconsistency, that will get kicked back to you. Yeah. Also note that the IRB website or the Human Research Protections Office website at Carilion does have really helpful templates for consent form development. So please, please head to the website. They're some of the most beautiful consent form templates I've seen in my experience. Super helpful. And again, failure to respond to feedback. So if the reviewed protocol sits in queue for too long, it will be removed from the system and you'll have to start over again. And that you don't want to do that. So the IRB reviews things very, very quickly, kicks it back to the primary investigator or the contact person, and then it's in your court to do what's next. Oh, all right. Any questions about kind of anything, the presentation, about a project you have in mind? What could I be?
Trish, very nice job.
Oh, sorry. Thank
one of the
you.
pharmacists. You're talking about non-human subject research and human subject research. So are you using the term non-human subject synonymous with QA/QI, or is there some other category under non-human?
Yeah, so no, it's not only QA/QI that is considered non-human subjects research. It's such an interesting, that non-human subjects designation is interesting to me. Let me get, I have a handy dandy little.
Want me to give an example for that one, Trish?
Yeah, and also, yeah, that'd be great. Thank you.
Well, for example, non-human subject research might be a chart review of patients who have died with a certain problem, for example. And you don't need, just a quick example, a histologic review that a pathologist might do on samples of a particular type of lesion. But these are any research done on material from patients who are deceased is considered non-human subjects, for example. That's what, there are multiple other examples actually that one might, and frankly, we look at, Brooke would review those and categorize them that way. Okay, they wouldn't have to go to the board.
So
Yeah.
would you consider like education research? Even though we are working with humans, we've heard it called non-human subject research before, which is confusing to the researcher.
Right.
Well,
You
let's
know,
say
we're working
that would be exempt research. So educational research is considered under the categories of exempt.
exempt from further review.
Right.
Correct, but it's not necessarily not human subjects research. So not human subjects research is then these situations where you're doing a case study, where you're using de-identified data, data repositories, journalistic activities, that kind of thing. And it's interesting that you are using humans, but they're not subjects. And I think that's probably what the not is referring to, not the human, it's referring to the subject. They're not a subject of research. Does that?
Got it. Yes.
Yeah. The language can be very tricky. Yeah. Did that
And they're
help?
not living.
And they're not.
They may be living and still be non-human subject research, but if they're not living, it falls out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Did that answer the question for pharmacy?
Yes, thanks.
And please, again, because I'm telling you, when you get into the regs, which are so deeply helpful, they can often be hard to translate. The language can be a little, it just can take some sorting out. So let the IRB help you. That's what we're here for.
I mean, when in doubt, go into PRISM and shuffle it our way, and then we can answer the question.
Yeah.
As an aside, speaking of Corey, thank you, Corey, for also pasting in the chat how you can get out of that little end.
Oh.
He just said press escape. So
Oh my gosh.
now for the future, and we all know. Thanks.
Oh my gosh, that worked. I love that. Thank you. It takes a village to help me use Zoom, I swear. And I'm sorry about that. Here's contact information for the IRB office. We are shifting a little bit, but anybody you get a hold of can get you in touch with whoever you need to get in touch with. So we're happy to help in that regard as well.
Yeah, I appreciate that so much, because I think one thing that I've had a big roadblock, I think everything is pretty self-explanatory, but the PRISM IRB website is very difficult to navigate. You get a case, and then you have to destroy it and make a new case if you want to dot a T, and then there's really not a good notification of when things are accepted or not. So, you get all these red and green boxes, and then you have to upload things, and it's very, very difficult. So this is really helpful, because sometimes I'll have a question what to do, and there's really no one to reach out to. And in that regard, is there any way to get this PRISM website a little bit more user-friendly? Have they looked at those things?
Yeah, I mean, if you call the development company, IRB websites are the bane of every researcher's existence. It's not just this one. In fact, the institution I came from had one far inferior to the one that we have at Carillion. In fact, when I got here, I was like, wow, this IRB system is dreaming. That's how bad the other one was. But there have been some updates and some work to make it more user-friendly. There also are some places where you can get jammed up as well. So, and we recognize that, again, we can't fix the development side of the IRB software, but we can certainly help you navigate the PRISM system. I'm going to post a link actually in the chat box for a survey for all of y'all researchers out there who are interested in education initiatives. I want to train people and offer education opportunities to people as needed in topics that they do need. So if you can complete that survey, it would do us a lot of good so that we could help design things for you. Even if it is, let's walk through the PRISM system step by step by step. Let's figure out where the problems are so that we can really help investigators navigate that system better.
Andrew, this is Charlie speaking. We share your concerns. Trish, myself, Meredith, all of us. We wish we had a better software. There are problems with it. They're trying to update it. We work with it with some frustration every day.
Yeah.
No, and I appreciate that. And I think I'm not trying to complain too much, a little bit, but not too much, but just, this is great to have these IRB people, because sometimes you just want to send an email like, did I do this right? What does this green, yellow thing mean? And if I can just shoot an email, then I don't have to worry about asking or fretting or something like that. So thank you so much for that. Appreciate it.
Yeah, please reach out. Anything else?
I'll make a couple comments about the R&D application. It does not have to be perfect when you submit it. Make sure you use the same title on the R&D app as you do in your IRB application for consistency. And like I said, it doesn't need to be perfect. Once you know generally who your collaborators are and you have an idea of your study, get that going so you can get your departmental level approval. So I always tell people it should take about 10 or 15 minutes at the most to complete that survey. It's REDCap based. On the other hand, once you get to the IRB, that does have to be perfect, but don't feel like you need to wait till you have everything all organized before you start the process. Oh, there you go. Thank you.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, just a few questions here. Yeah. I will put this link in the chat box as well. Is that okay?
Yeah, and Trish's survey was in the last research newsletter, if you still have that in your email queue.
Yes, thank you, Dr. Farrell. It is in the research newsletter, and you can get it there as well. That was a very nice newsletter. Thank you.
We will have this presentation as well as the video up on our OCPD website. So if you'd like to review it again, or if you'd like any of these resources, just visit the Office of Continuing Professional Development. Okay.
Sherry, in the last minute, could you announce the next talk?
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
Let's see. I'm going to go right up to Deb did post the schedule, so I don't have it memorized by heart, but I think it should be the same Thursday. Let's see here.
So it's navigating research at Carillion, and it's with Andrea Bedanset, and that will be on September 29th from 12 to 1, and again on Zoom.
Yeah, it'll be a great follow-up to Trish's nice presentation.
Thanks, Mariah. All right, I hope everybody has a wonderful day.
Thank you, everybody.